Pastor Jimmy O'Neill from the KMET Weather Center. For the Beaumont and the Banning area for your daytime hours, expect mostly sunny skies, highs at 105. For the daytime hours in the IE area, there'll be sunshine through the day, highs at 102. And for the afternoon hours in the Coachella Valley, sunshine, that high expected at 110. I'm forecaster Jimmy O'Neill for Smart Talk 1490 KMET.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. We appreciate each and every one of you. On today's show, we got a very, well, let me put it this way. In 2020, we had an interview with Jehovah's Witnesses, and at that time, the pandemic had just started. And they had done something that was kind of, at least for those that know, and for those that don't know, my mother is a practicing Jehovah's Witness. So it was very interesting for me to see all of a sudden where they would normally meet, and everybody knows if they've come to your door, usually they'll have a discussion and or a conversation with you, and you'll do one of two things. Either you'll listen or you'll close the door and say no. So having said that, there's a lot of things that have happened since 2020. A lot of religions as well have kind of said, okay, we're going to heed the attention of the authorities. And if you remember in 2020, a lot of certain ones, and I commented about a few of them, that were like, no, we're going to heal you. We're healers. And then they ended up dying at the end. And I'm like, oh, God, why would you do that? And why would you say you profess, attention to God if you're going to say you're a healer and then you end up dying, right? It just doesn't make sense. So my question is, for the majority of those that, have been able to kind of stay alive and get through it all, so to speak, what have they done in the meantime? And so we're going to be joined a little bit later by Robert J. Hendricks, who is a member of the Jehovah's Witnesses. He's a spokesperson there and is kind of following up with us on the things that happened since 2020, especially with the entire organization there, which is actually, I think, 8 point. Well, we'll let him get that information out, but quite a few people, let's just put it that way. In the years following, we've lost a lot, and I know they themselves have lost a lot as well in that particular faith and that religion. So the question of the day is, what do we do next? I know we've had other ones here as well. I know we had it was a bishop, Catholic bishop, here on the show as well, talking about how they were staying safe in 2020 and how they were doing certain things according to the authorities and keeping, their area safe. So it's very interesting when you kind of talk to each and every major, I would say, people that are supposed to care for you all throughout, right? People that check in on you. If you go, you want to make sure that your friends are there. Usually you see them on Sunday, or you see them and then all of a sudden you don't see them, and you still stay connected. So they're staying connected. They're actually saying they have a online streaming viewing later this month that everybody and anyone can tune into for free, obviously, and all you have to do is visit their link there. So we'll give you that information as it comes up a little bit later, so that'll be happening. But I will say that in the meantime, we got some really cool stuff that are happening in the world as well, and I will say we got Jesse Sanchez over there. Jesse, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little excited about it. Jurassic World Dominion. Does that come out today?
Yes, it does. It does come out today. You know what? I heard a lot of negative things, but I don't care. So I'm going to see it anyway because it's Jurassic Park and it's dinosaurs.
Yeah, exactly. I know, exactly. I'm right with you right now because I'm kind of like, I saw one that said kind of like I'm not going to spoil it. It's got dinosaurs, it's got the original cast, it's got the new cast. I love them all, and if you got a raptor in there, that kind of makes sense. I think that's even cool, right?
Right. I mean, technically, we still have raptors today.
Yeah.
Those giant ostriches or emu things. Go say, or I think what was it, an ossuary or something like those things are scary.
Yeah. Exactly. So. I guess they made it out, and they're getting into the world, which is, again, a reason not to do look at the situation now. Like, talk about the way science kind of follows. Like, which came first, the movie or the science? Because now they want to clone a mammoth, right? Like they have the ability to do so, and is that going to happen? Then how, like, does it ever stop, or do they have an island kind of like they did back then, where they kind of, have these, and then they break into the general public eventually? Like, what goes on? Because we can clone DNA, right?
That we can, but now that I think about it, like what we perceive as dinosaurs probably don't even look like what they actually look like. They could be entirely different, covered in feathers. We don't know.
Oh, I get what you mean, because we only have the skeleton and, like, yeah, I get what you're saying about that. Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, you have a certain one that's a reptile, then you have, like, kind of like the pterodactyl, right? That's still kind of reptile-ish, but I get what you're saying. I was watching it especially yesterday on hummingbirds, and if you look at the feathers of a hummingbird, they change color. Like, all of a sudden. I mean, it's really cool. Like, some cars are trying to get that technology, into certain things. But, yeah, so that's exciting. Now, I will say this. Jesse, you posted something. I'm not going to lie. I was like, I didn't get to read it. But I saw it, and I said, what is going on? I don't know if this kid is, like, all I know is he survived. And I think it's a tale of something that we all kind of hope A, will never happen, and B, if it did happen, we'd hope to survive. What am I talking about, Jesse?
Yeah, when I found out, well, actually, when I saw the picture first, because I was just like, first they did like a side-by-side of him.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my God, what happened to this kid? And so I read the story, and I'm like, okay, so this lost 3-year-old boy survived 2 days alone in the rural Montana.
Yeah.
So yeah, he let's see, Riker Webb, the 3-year-old boy who was found safe in Montana, after 2 days on his own, survived by seeking shelter in a shed. Riker was reported missing Friday afternoon and found on Sunday, roughly 2 miles from his home, in the small town of Troy in northwestern Montana. The redheaded toddler was discovered by a family that was checking on their cabin. They heard a little boy's voice from the shed out back, where they keep a generator. I'm surprised they were able to hear him.
Mm-hmm.
And so they went to check it out, and they found him. He was very, very scared, obviously, and they said that, mountain lions and bears are in the area. So the fact that he survived 2 days alone is quite a shocker. And yeah, it looked like he is. If you look at his picture, it looked like he went through some stuff.
Yeah, he looks like he grew up all of a sudden, right? He's got that, like, I don't know if he's happy to be alive, I just think he's got that, yay, I don't know what to do. I'm kind of traumatized. If you would have seen what I seen, I mean, you would have seen all that I seen, and I don't know what to do. Right? Like, I just, poor kid. He's just so, I'm glad he survived, but he looks like a little man that grew up too quick. You know what I mean? He's got his little PJs, and he's got, like, a little bloody nose. Like, I don't know what to make of this, Jesse.
I don't either, but you know what? I can guarantee you, if my mom grew up, if my mom raised me and my brothers out in the wooded area, I can guarantee you I'd probably end up disappearing like this kid, because I get distracted so easily while I'm walking. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I can see that, and evidently a lot. What?
I was like, you'd have to agree with me.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I can see, it happening to someone, I guess. I mean, look, in Montana, all you got is the wilderness. I'm trying to make sense of this story. I'm not going to lie. Because I think somebody's going to be like, how would you let your kid go missing for that long, right? The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office identified Riker. I love his name, by the way. Riker reminds me of, like, that. Remember, what was he in Star Trek? Riker, Captain, First Officer Riker, who's in good spirits after being found. This was, again, Sunday. He was last seen playing with his family dog outside his home Friday afternoon before he disappeared. So I'm wondering, like, what happened there? Was the dog like Lassie, or was he a dumb dog that couldn't find the boy? You know what I mean? Like, woof, woof. Remember that? Like, quick, Timmy is in trouble. Riker is in trouble. Like, you know what I mean?
I would rather go with that. Now, if this kid said he went into the woods because the clown lured him in, I'm going to say I'm done with this story.
Oh, God, at 3 years old? No, that would be like an 8-year-old journey, right? We know we're talking about, like, the movie It, right?
Oh, yes, the movie It. God, that's so creepy. It still creeps me out. I'm not scared of it. I just don't like clowns anymore.
Yeah, no, trust me, it's one of those ones I remember watching as a kid, and I was like, yeah, no way, thank you. And then they did the remake. I'm like, no, it just didn't even do that one. Dozens of people helped in the search around the Bull Lake area south of Troy. Searchers used ATVs, drones, dog teams, and a boat to look for Webb during the search. On Saturday, Montana Air National Guard helicopters joined the effort. Drones from Flathead County and Spokane police were able to respond, in addition to more dog teams and continued ground and ATV searches. This is kind of a new type of way of searching, right? Using drones. I think that's pretty cool. Like, I kind of want to own a drone just to kind of be like, all right, let me help you guys search the area, right?
Right, searching with drones it actually is pretty useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you have like some type of like if you're searching at night too, you can use some like night vision.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, and let me get some heat signatures or something like that. But no, they're wow. But the fact that they didn't find him was very weird.
Well,
Like, was he just hiding?
Well, and I guess according to this, it says after all of that, right, the helicopters and drones and dogs and all sorts of things, ATVs, it's a wilderness type thing. The sheriff's office said it was extremely difficult to get the additional air assets into the Bull Lake Valley due to very poor weather conditions, which consisted of rain, low visibility, and low ceiling. I guess the question I would have here is. Did the kid, how do I say this? I don't even know how to say it, Jesse. If he went missing, how far did he get? You know what I mean? Or something like that. But I don't know.
What happened? I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
You still there?
Yeah. We're having internet connection problems. You there? Okay. We're gonna let's see. Let me see if I can help you out, Jesse. Can you hear me now? Jesse, can you hear me?
Nation. Fridays at 5 p.m. on 1490 KMET. Follow Steer the Line on Facebook and visit steertheline.com.
The Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Banning is distinctively suited for your travel time of the car. Off the road, you'll find a courteous, welcoming staff and spacious rooms with desks, flat-screen HD TVs, and comfortable furnishings. Enjoy the complimentary breakfast buffet, high-speed internet, and fitness center and pool. The Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Banning, conveniently located off the I-10 near golf, gaming, and entertainment. For reservations and information, call 951-572-5500. That's 951-572-5500.
Equality and protecting voting rights. Shop now at TogetherWeAreStrong.com for t-shirts, hats, and coffee mugs. All voting rights profits are donated to Rock the Vote, an organization on a mission to empowering young voters. Become an activist without saying a word. TogetherWeAreStrong.com. Make a difference in America and the world. Shop online at TogetherWeAreStrong.com. Give the gift that helps drive change. Go visit TogetherWeAreStrong.com.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
the staff and families at Custom Care Solutions Caregivers take this time out to recognize and salute the Palm Desert men and women in uniform, standing tall for our political and economic freedoms around the world. Let's always remember them in our thoughts and prayers. Their efforts abroad and our support have kept America strong. That message was courtesy of your good friends at Custom Care Solutions Caregivers, 42201 Beacon Hill in Palm Desert. They're always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC. That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio KMET. I'm happy to kind of have a follow-up of something that we had 2 years ago. I kid you not. Around 2 years ago, everybody was like COVID, pandemic. And we had a very good interview and a very good chance to meet somebody who's actually doing something for the entire Jehovah's Witnesses. That's right. He, among many, put their heads together ahead of time, and they said, wait a minute, what are we going to do ahead of time in order to get the word out about things coming that are good, not bad? Well, when the pandemic hit, I'm going to tell you right now, everybody was like, what do we do? But the witnesses, the Jehovah's Witnesses, which are found in actually Walk Hill, New York, and all around the world, in many countries, did something a lot of other entities actually did as well. Other religious agencies did follow in same suit. But I will say something very interesting happened here when we spoke to Robert J. Hendricks, and we were on a situation where for the very first time, and we got a lot of messages in our inbox over at KMET 1490 AM about the coverage of it, and the fact that it was the very first time that Jehovah's Witnesses, and if you have a family member or somebody that you know that is one, you know it's the very first time everything came to a standstill in one way, but not in another. What I mean by that is the district convention of Jehovah's Witnesses went all virtual online for the very first time. They canceled their in-person meetings 2 years ago because of the pandemic. They followed again what the U.S. said and other countries as well. They heeded the call. They did what was right. And joining us right now is Robert J. Hendricks. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Aaron. It's great to be back. It was quite an interview last time. That went pretty viral around the globe after we talked the last time, and it was quite a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, and I will say, it got all around the world. I mean, there were people in Europe and Australia, New Zealand, and even like parts where, and I will say there are some parts that are blocked off even from those that kind of go door to door or try to get the word out. We talked a little later that year about something that was happening in Russia and how there was a huge ban. But I want to go into something that's very important for people around the corner. Right now, we're at a very interesting time where people are asking, and the very common word is end days or end of days. But you have been kind of saying this for quite some time, maybe not you yourself, but others around you that also are Jehovah's Witnesses have said, well, last days are going to happen and critical times are hard to deal with. Can you explain that?
Well, certainly Jehovah's Witnesses have really pointed to the Bible to talk about how things really wouldn't get better. It's sad for us to watch as this world goes into such division and such pain. It's sad for us to be living through pandemics and living through this divisiveness and the lack of peace among people. But we recognize what Jesus said. He said, when these things start to occur, lift your heads up because your deliverance is near. And he was talking to all those who follow Christ. He was talking to those who are really putting their hope in God's kingdom rather than in the kingdoms of this world. And so as sad as it is, as tragic, see, we're not immune to what's happening. Our families are affected. Our children are affected. Our communities are affected. We, as most people know in California, there's 200,000 witnesses in California, more than 200,000. Most people know somebody who's a witness. They work beside them. They use them as a contractor. They may live next door to them. And they know, we know, we're all in it together. We're all dealing with the pandemic together. And so we need a common solution. And that's really the key. And that's what we try to look to one source, God's Word, the Bible, to see where that common solution is. And it is the kingdom. And the kingdom can have real benefits even today, which is what the highlight will be of our regional convention this year, which starts in July and is being viewed globally in more than 500 languages over the course of 6 weekends.
Well, and I'm glad you're mentioning that because I've seen a lot of people, including family members, kind of say the sad fact of, is it even worth living? And they may not say it outright, but when you talk about like, okay, go get tested and stay alive and, get through it all. Financially, people are hurting. People are starting to talk about shortage of food. I know in Europe and other parts of the world, they're starting to talk about that. This is something, again, that has been kind of discussed, but people's, like, their emotions are kind of the opposite of what they were 2 years ago. Now they're all, honestly, people I've spoken to that are really very, like, and I hate to say this, but very like front with their emotions, kind of are like, is it worth staying alive? And I don't think they ask that outright, but if they have hope, then it's like, let's get through it and let's get through it together. And that's something that you've been saying for quite some time, right?
Well, absolutely. And really, the emotions that we have, again, they're not singular to just everybody else. We have those emotions too. Job, one of the most faithful men in the Bible, said to God, "Oh, in the grave is where you could conceal me. Would you conceal me in the grave?" The King David, the psalmist, in Psalm 94, says, "How long, O God?" And Habakkuk says the same thing. Jonah wanted to die. That's how much these emotions really rip at the hearts of faithful, loyal, good people. And so everybody is being affected in different ways. And we need that common solution. The common solution for us has always been the kingdom. We've always pointed to the kingdom, which has helped us, Aaron, to stay away from trying to solve things in a small way, because that's what's going to solve everything in the big way. But in the meantime, as our regional convention talks about, we need peace. And we can't make peace globally. We don't have that ability as individuals. So we start one person at a time. We start one family at a time. We start one congregation at a time. And that's what this regional convention is all about, pursuing peace in ourselves, first of all, really learning how to love, learning how love leads to inner peace and peace with others, and how the Bible's advice for marriage mates, for families, for parents can be a roadmap to family peace. We're going to be talking about peace with God, being peacemakers with others, and then having peace also with God, and finally being able to be his friend and have that friendship that feels we have an inner peace, a peace that can't be robbed from us. You see, the peace that God gives is an aspect of the fruit of his Spirit. And when we have his Spirit in our life, that peace can't be robbed from us no matter what externally is going on. And so that's why you find many Jehovah's Witnesses who not only look at peace when they're in their ministry, but also feel at peace, even though so much in this world is trying to rob that peace.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's almost like people are going next level. And as an organization, as Jehovah's Witnesses, again, I have seen some things come against people. I mean, now we're at a time where we hear the big name, the R word, right? Russia. And we hear, okay, Russia went and invaded Ukraine, and the people of Ukraine are trying to be safe. They've been bombed left and right, and literally all the way, like, on the east side and on the middle. And then, they, like, bombed several power plants. My point is this. Jehovah's Witnesses have actually kind of been already, in a way, like trying to fight a legal fight, which I will say in some way is good. And it's like a victory against just stuff that are happening that are bad. And I know there was recent news about someone who, again, we covered later that year, Christensen. Can you kind of allude to that?
Well, certainly. And I really, give it to you, Darren, because you have done your research about our organization. And it's true that we have, as an organization, been very active in the courts, not because we're litigious, but because God told us to do something. He told us to worship together. He told us to preach the good news. And when laws are in place that affect that, we're going to take those laws and challenge them in the highest court. So in the United States, we have 50 Supreme Court victories that have established our faith based on First Amendment jurisprudence. We have been a major factor in freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, and around the world. Just recently in the European European Court of Human Rights, Russia was penalized, and a negative decision came down against Russia that has really vindicated our brothers and sisters there, because as you know, in that country, our assets have been confiscated. We have been banned. Even our Bible has been banned. And of course, the Bible, it's the Bible. We call it our Bible. It's simply a translation of the Bible that side by side is just like the King James, or just like the Revised Standard Version. And then we had our brother Christensen, whose 5 years of imprisonment were finally ended, and he went back to his home, to his wife, and that was a victory. It was a victory for this reason, not because we got him out early, because we didn't. In fact, his sentence was extended, but because, like Jesus, he was victorious over that tyranny, and he comes out not just feeling like he endured, but feeling like he prevailed with God's help, feeling stronger than he would have if he had not gone through this incident. And as painful as it was, you'll see that too. If you go to jw.org and you go to the latest governing body update of Jehovah's Witnesses, you'll see an interview with him, and also an interview with two of our brothers in Russia who were in prison for a protracted period of time. And all of them, to a man, said, this ended up being a blessing. And that's just the way it is. As difficult as it is, as we can't imagine it ourselves, feeling like we're going to be rotting in prison, not being able to have our freedom. But those brothers turned it into a positive with the help of their faith.
Well, and I will say this to the general public. Sometimes you say it in a way, and to any member of Jehovah's Witnesses, it's very like, yeah, we know exactly what we're talking about. But to the general public, let me just kind of break it down for you. Imagine reading a Bible, and then because you're reading a Bible, the United States of America says you go to prison. Now, thank God we're not there here, right, in the United States. I'm in California, and you're there in New York, right? And we are kind of in a good land for now. But if they did that all of a sudden, it would be weird for the majority of Christian or anybody with a holy book. I mean, I think of Muslim, and I think the Quran, and I think any book that is a translation of a book. Kind of, you mentioned King James Version. I think the Douay Version. I don't know how many different translations there are of the Bible, or the Hebrew and or the Greek. But at the end of the day, it's weird to have to go to prison just for owning one, and especially only reading the official word of the Bible, which according to Russia, and I think the Greek Orthodox Church were hand in hand in kind of making it so that any other faith, especially those of Jehovah's Witnesses who go door to door, or I should say went door to door, trying to get the word out about the Bible, which I believe that's actually a scripture where Jesus said, "Go therefore," right?
Matthew 28, 19, and 20. But it's interesting, though, Aaron, you say that about this country. And, of course, we have freedoms, and we're very thankful for those freedoms. But it was just a little over 100 years ago that those who were taking the lead in the work of Jehovah's Witnesses were all put in federal prison. It was just 80 years ago that regularly our brothers and sisters going out and visiting people were put in prison. And it was just 60 years ago that our children were being suspended from school as a result, or 60 years ago, maybe it's 70 now, it was the 50s, the 40s, and the 50s, when our children were being suspended and expelled from school, denied an education because they wouldn't salute the flag, even though they stood during the flag salute and were respectful. All of that was taken care of through the United States Supreme Court. All of it had to be adjudicated. These rulings have provided us with the freedom of worship. But in 1998, a village in this country, in the village of Stratton, Ohio, made it a criminal offense to go to your neighbor and knock on his door without asking the mayor. Now imagine that, living in a community where to go across to your neighbor knock on his door and talk about garbage pickup, or talk about your faith, or talk about an environmental issue, and you could be actually put in jail or fined criminally as a result of that. That's what happened, and the target was, at the time, Jehovah's Witnesses. United States Supreme Court, in fact, on June 17th, 2002, 20 years ago, this June 17th, ruled in a historic ruling 8-1, and said that that law was unconstitutional, and, by the way, it was offensive. And it took many of the precedent-setting cases of the 30s and 40s, and it took all of that First Amendment, that treasure trove of First Amendment jurisprudence, and it put it in a 21st century context. And it renewed the rights of not only Jehovah's Witnesses, but it said those rights are relevant today. And in fact, even quoted many of those cases right within the Stratton decision. So that's why we're looking back on that day as a very special day for us as an organization, and for many. We're doing a special program with the Religious Freedom Clinic at Harvard Law School on that same day, June 17th, 2022. And we're going to look back on this case and what a danger that it posed to this country, this community, to us as Jehovah's Witnesses. And by overturning that with an 8-1 decision of the United States Supreme Court, how that had a great effect not only on Jehovah's Witnesses, but on all.
Well, and I imagine, again, these are the type of legal things that, as a organization, you have to go at it. I will say, it came up with my family. Those that know our last time we spoke, I talked about my mom and the situation with that, but I didn't talk about my sister's situation and the liaison committee, which is a very good, organized, very educated when it comes to like the science of COVID, or the science of being healthy, or the science of, things to stay alive. When somebody's in the hospital, and many have been in the hospital, I know the numbers, you keep a very big tally. And I say this to other organizations, whether they be, faith-based or not, be aware of your members, because if something happens, what does Jehovah's Witnesses do for those that they know?
Well, because we're in such small congregations, Aaron, we keep them small purposely, because really they're pastoral units. We have 1.3 million congregants in the United States, more than 1.5 million who attend our meetings. And those meetings are relatively small. And the congregations range from anywhere 75 to 150, typically right within that range. And then they're broken up into smaller pastoral groups that have those taking the lead, and especially in the pandemic, who were in contact during this pandemic, especially in the beginning, on a weekly basis. And so we were making sure they were okay, they had what they needed. Had they contracted COVID, they were being careful. Of course, in March 20th, 2020, we shut down all our meetings in public ministry, so we didn't see each other face to face, but we were in touch with each other on a weekly basis. And that kind of shepherding, that kind of pastoring, is not seen in many places, because the economics of religion now is big. Super churches. Many people would rather go to a place where they're not known. They could just attend, and we get that. We understand that. But these smaller groups, these smaller congregations, have really helped us to help one another, because congregations really are interdependent units. And we don't look at ourselves as just coming to church on a Sunday, filling a pew and leaving. We look at ourselves as a spiritual family, and families take care of one another. At least healthy spiritual families do.
I'm glad you said that. I know for my mom, she was not like, look, I will say this, and I talk to a lot of people, all around the world. Our show sometimes reaches in areas like the Philippines, who just had a major volcano. I know, again, you're looking at that very closely, because, again, back to areas that you have what you call a brother or sister, which in essence everybody's a brother or sister, right? Of the faith, right? Is actually in some way or form needing help. And during our time here in the U.S., again, we don't think about volcanoes so much, but we do think about natural disasters. I know since Katrina and other times before and since, you have had a huge impact on not just those that are of the faith, but also those that are not of the faith, helping lend a hand. Kind of like organizations that are out there like Red Cross, or I can think of a number of them that organize to help people out, right?
Well, yeah, there's no doubt we have to help each other out. We have to help our neighbors out. It's our responsibility. Jesus said it. The two greatest commandments: love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And love neighbor doesn't just include the ones in your household; it includes your extended family. And while we can't take care of everybody, and we don't pretend to, we do mobilize during natural disasters. The number of natural disasters in California, the wildfires, the landslides. We had a volcano just a little over a year ago in St. Vincent. We had to bring our friends off of the island and make sure that they had a place in another country. We had to actually evacuate them from a country, which I don't know has ever been done by our organization before. And yes, these disaster relief committees, humanitarian relief committees that are set up in California and other places, even during COVID, that distributed food during COVID, that were able to respond to the medical needs. We you know that we weren't going to doctors because we were afraid, but we provided a telemed solution for many of our members. We tracked all of the hospital beds in the branch territory in the United States, and we looked at where, if our congregant got sick, where would we direct them, so that we had real-time data. And that's the kind of personal attention that this organization has given to its people. And it's amazing because, you go to a Kingdom Hall and there's no collection plate. In fact, we haven't even been able to go to a Kingdom Hall, right? Until just a few weeks ago. And,
yeah. And many are on Zoom still, right?
Donations. I'm sorry?
And many are still on Zoom, right? So it's hard to collect
true.
There. It's like, where's the donate button? You know what I mean?
It's just amazing to me that the currency of this organization, without question in my mind, and I've been doing this a long time. I grew up as a witness, was baptized at 15 years old, but I've been in a congregation ever since I was a child. The currency of this organization is God's Spirit. That's what makes things work, because it couldn't work any other way. We have 27 disaster relief committees going on right now in Ukraine. We have a disaster relief committee right here in the United States that's caring for Ukrainian and Russian refugees, finding a place for them, getting them started on their feet so that they are self-sustaining, making sure that somebody is there to sponsor them and pick them up from the airport when they're coming in or at the border. I mean, this is extraordinary. What other group, forget about religious group, but what other global organization is doing this? And it's a testimony really to the kingdom, which is in place and which has its manifestation right now in the good works being done on this earth, even though it hasn't taken over this earth yet, obviously.
Well, and I appreciate what you say. Again, there's a lot of things that are happening around the world, and as I say to people, watch world news, not local news, and then you'll understand everything we're saying is actually true. Volcanoes, I think there were a maximum of 52 at one time, and again, to hear that, again, you did the right thing to help the people out in the area is very important. Sometimes people look to the government to fix things, and I say, hey, look to your local, right? Those that care about you. If you go and go, worship in some way or go to a church, make sure that your members know who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, and then how to check in on you. Make sure to have emergency contacts from out of the area in the event you have an emergency, and then follow up with one another, especially during COVID. A lot of people, we've had about 1.3 million deaths here in the U.S. It's about 6 million around the world. And again, around the world, how many members are of those of Jehovah's Witnesses? And I believe you just had a memorial, or what they call the Lord's Evening meal. Many call that the Passover meal. But how many attended there?
Well, over 20 million, no doubt. I think last year it was upwards of 22 million. So we don't have the numbers yet this year. We suspect they'll be very similar. Of course, we have 8.6 million Jehovah's Witnesses around the world. 200,000, 203,000 or so in California, in 239 different countries. And so we are a global brotherhood, a global organization. And I want to just make sure that we also say that we feel very strongly and are very appreciative of the government. And we can't replace the government. We can't replace the resources that a government can give. However, there are times, especially in the first 72 hours to a week of a disaster, when which is key to the survival of somebody in a serious disaster, like the tornadoes, the derechos that have happened over the last few years, earthquakes in Puerto Rico, the Gulf storms. It's that 72-hour period that's key. And that's where, number one, we make sure that our folks, our congregants, are prepared with a go bag, prepared to know where to go and when to go, just as you said. And secondly, that we know where they are, so that if they need help, we can care for them, because those critical first few days will mean perhaps the rest of their life.
I'm glad you said that, and I appreciate, again, coming up around the corner, everybody can tune in virtually online from anywhere you have an online connection, or you can reach out if you have a question. Again, it's all available on jw.org. I thank you again for spending time with us. Thank you for the update on that very pivotal moment in 2020 when everything went, right? Like nothing went good in that year, right?
Well, nothing went good, but I will say this, that a lot came out of it as good. We're a different organization, and we recognize that not everybody is ready to come back to the Kingdom Hall, but we now have the resources to have hybrid meetings, to have a hybrid ministry, which we really didn't even contemplate before. And so we have that globally now, and I think as a result, we're able to serve not only our congregants better, but all those who might be interested in visiting us.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's so important for people that maybe, because I'm not going to lie, I've heard some jokes where people go, where are those people that come to our door that we used to run away from? You know what I mean? And people are like, where did they go? But I know you're going to be in the public streets again. You're not going door to door just yet. We're waiting on that. But I guess the point is, it's nice to have you guys back in a good way and safe. Thank you for doing what you do. I always say from my heart to all of you, thank you for taking care of my mom and take care of my sister and others, because I have a lot of friends. I haven't reached out to them as of yet, but I always wonder, how are they doing? And I know you always take care of those. And again, thank you for doing everything you can. And again, for those of you tuning in, make sure to go visit jw.org. Remember, they have hybrid meetings. Do you guys give a link out to maybe this Sunday?
Well, we sure would give a link out, but they need to find their local congregation, and which they can do on jw.org. Find a local meeting, and once they put in their information where they are, they'll come up with a bunch of different phone numbers. They can call and get their local link. We'd rather somebody go locally than somebody go across the world, because we can care for them, not only in our ministry, but also when something like a natural disaster happens.
Yeah, it's called follow-up. Like, if my mom went to Florida, she could visit it online. She's done that, but she stays local. That way, get to check in on her. So, again, from my heart to all of those of you there in New York and around the world, thank you for doing everything you're doing, and keep it going.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it.
All right. We got to take a quick break. After these messages, we got more. Stay tuned and download our app. It's free at KMET 1490 AM. And don't forget, JW actually has their own app, jw.org. Just check it out. Okay, people, we'll be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Does shame, guilt, and martyrdom play a part in holding ourselves back from self-love, self-confidence, self-empowerment? Ambika Waters is back. With over 3 million books sold, she offers her 28th, Releasing Shame, Guilt, and Martyrdom. Her body of work includes training programs held in Europe and North America, where she connects her participants to the realms of angels, the importance of chakras, the healing power of color and sound. Ambika Waters, the journey that she has been on, the renowned teacher, artist, and healer, has brought a lifetime of experience to her newest book, Releasing Shame, Guilt, and Martyrdom. How to reframe the past, release your future, the guide to expanding our capacity for unlimited goodness. AmbikaWaters.com, Amazon.com. Love, love, love.
Tired of waiting in line for overpriced coffees and packaged rolls? Make a change and stop for coffee or espresso and a fresh homemade apple fritter or ham and cheese croissant at Donut Delight on Highland Springs Road in Banning, just off the I-10 freeway. Donut Delight is a family-owned business with a friendly staff who has served the Pass area for 22 years. Donut Delight on the corner of Highland Springs Road and Ramsey Street, just off the I-10 freeway. Donut Delight opens daily at 4:30 a.m.
World-renowned psychologist, relationship expert, and best-selling author Dr. Carmen Hara hosts Live Now every Friday morning at 9 o'clock on Smart Talk Radio. Dr. Hara offers profound wisdom, practical advice, daily exercises, and empowering predictions, all for you. Experience your own positive transformation as Dr. Hara personally guides you to the answers that you have been seeking. Live Now with Dr. Carmen Hara every Friday morning at 9 o'clock Pacific Time on KMET Radio, podcast by SoundCloud.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. We appreciate those of you tuning in. Again, make sure to download our app. It is free, KMET 1490 AM on all devices, whether it be Android and or iPhone. I know we got some news over there. Jesse's checking out the stream. What's going on over there, Jesse?
Okay, I remember a couple of days ago, or maybe it was last week, we were joking about a story about an Apple AirTag. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah. And I think the woman actually went and got her cheating husband and found him and then killed him. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which you gotta say, don't cheat on a lady. She'll figure it out.
That is true. Story.
Okay, what's this one?
So this one is a Florida police officer used Apple AirTags to stalk ex. Yeah. You know what? I've been seeing these stories come out more and more often. I don't know about you, but yeah, these people be using these AirTags like they're crazy. Just bloop bloop, put them wherever they want. But if you have an iPhone, it'll actually tell you if it's like there's something nearby.
Yes. I'm not gonna lie, I bought a few, but I bought them for my own personal use because I thought, okay, if somebody steals my vehicle, right? Because when I was traveling east, all right, I was in, I think it was Arizona, and there were some sketchy people in that area, and I was like, what if they take my vehicle overnight, right? Like they were looking at a little too much, you know? And I was like, I don't trust these people. So in that way, I was like, I'm just going to go and invest in one. I've kind of heard a lot about it, but I use it for my own personal use, right? Some people have used it for like their bicycles or their bikes, like especially like in areas where, they're always taken. And if you watch YouTube, there's some that actually have done that, where somebody takes it or they have a friend take it and they see how close and perimeter it is. But you're right. It actually used to be up to 2 days before it would tell you someone was tracking you if you have an iPhone. Now it's up to 8 hours. So it actually does a little deet, 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 deet. And then you're like, what is that? And then when you look at it, if it comes up on your phone, it'll say someone's tracking you using the thing. But yeah, I think if anything, back to GPS monitoring, there's a lot of devices that have GPS monitoring. And if you think back in the day of Spy or Investigate or, how do you catch a cheating husband, it's going to happen one way or the other. You know what I mean?
That is true. Although with the cheating husband thing, I think the funniest story would be that Fitbit story.
Yeah, I think that is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I see you peeking when you should be resting. Exactly. So I see your heart monitor. That's not the way it is when you're with me. Bye-bye. Right? So I just say don't take it next level, okay, people? Don't. You can walk away from a situation and then just find another person, that is more faithful than that person. At least you have it, kind of like everybody looks for proof. Sometimes you show them proof and then they go back. Have you ever seen that show Cheaters? And then, they have a follow-up 3 to 6 months later, and they went back with the cheating person?
Yes. Oh, my God.
I'm like, who does that?
I'm like, wow, you just really like dancing in the fire, don't you?
Exactly. And then you know what that, basically, look, if you take a person back that cheats, there's a potentiality of them doing it again and again and again, because you basically said it's all right. So now they have said in their head, well, you took me back once, you'll take me back again. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. Sometimes men have more than one because they cannot be alone. And I say, why? Like, it's too much work. Like, you got to pay, you got to make money for that. What if they get pregnant? Now you have two. You know what I mean? Now you got a baby mama here, a baby mama there, and a baby mama over there just waiting to go. I don't get it, Jesse.
Oh my God, these people that cheat, they have way too much time on their hands. Like,
yes, that's my point.
I'm not going to cheat, because then I have to waste my free time that I can use to be playing video games, wasting it on another person? No.
Yeah, that's why I say, no, not going to happen to me. People sometimes say, you don't have kids, and, they know, like, I helped raise a child, for a while. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, how do I say it? It's just, it's less work, it's less frustration, and it's less just trouble, you know what I mean? To be like, you know what? At least, look, if I had a child of my own, we would have fun every day, right? But I wouldn't want to, like, go and have another situation possibly looming down the line because, at some point, you got to pay for them. And kids are expensive, especially right now, right, Jesse?
Oh, yeah, yes, they are. You know what? I saw a TikTok yesterday, and it was so gross. Not like that. It was more gross. Like this woman, she was breaking down because she has 6 kids with 6 different men. She was all like, she gets a certain amount from each man with each child, and she was breaking down the math. I'm like, what the heck? And she was like, yeah, if it was the same person, I would only be getting a lower amount. I'm like, so this woman straight figured out how she can stay at home just by having kids. I'm like, are you crazy?
Oh, yeah, see, nah. She's working the system of guy. No, not going to happen on my watch. No, not going to happen. It's too much work. It's too much frustration. And then you have to, like, watch your 6 with some, right? I mean, some will cut you. Like, the woman that actually killed her husband who was cheating on her. You know what I mean? I mean, you hope she takes the house. You know what I mean? And then just leaves it at that. And people don't even think about that. All that work you did over the years, and you take it for a little spin, and then they find out. You hope they don't find out. That's why, like, if you're like the woman on the side, I say this is a good way to test if they're ever going to leave the woman. And it's this. Just see what they do at family time. If they're always with the family, there's a reason they're never going to leave that person because A, they have it good financially and everything else. Plus, they just don't want that. They don't want that commitment. So if you're the side lady, I say don't complain when you're going, where's the love? You know what I mean? Or if you're hoping that he'll leave his lady, because you're just doing something for yourself that's never going to work. I see the women that get pregnant, but then he's got to be only with one woman. How's it going to work out? Are you going to both live in the same house? It's not like you're like a situation like Will Smith's family or Bruce Willis's family, right? It doesn't work.
Yeah, that's not going to work at all.
Exactly. Look what happened with Will Smith. I'm just saying. All right, people, I'm out of time. Make it a great day, whatever you do. Remember, life is worth living. Live it well and go see Jurassic World. Let us know how it is. Bye-bye, everyone.